Hi, it's Willow here, and I'm here to do a little update on my recovery process from fluoroquinolone antibiotic poisoning. I have done a series of videos and I've also written a series of articles on my blog about this process. And this is the newest update. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the use of modified citrus pectin for detoxification and the removal of heavy metals. And this is the brand that I am using, AOR brand. Modified citrus pectin is also known as MCP. And yeah, I've known about modified citrus pectin and its use in removal of heavy metals for maybe a year, 18 months or something. And I've been a little bit nervous to try it, mostly because I generally have bad reactions to any type of natural supplement. And this is anything from probiotics to digestive enzymes to vitamins and minerals. Most things I would have a flare up of symptoms, let's say, from using. And so I was a little bit nervous about modified citrus pectin, but I've started off very, very slowly, very, very gently, not taking the recommended dose at all, which I find is something that I have to do with natural treatments. Is the recommended dose on the bottle is usually 2 or even 3 times, maybe even more than that, more than I need to take or more than I should take at the beginning. So yes, I will say that I'm not giving out health advice in this video. What I am is a self-healer. So I'm a person who for the past 10 years has been healing myself from a devastating adverse drug reaction to a fluoroquinolone antibiotic called Cipro. Fluoroquinolone antibiotics are potentially terribly dangerous. They are potentially deadly. They are potentially long-term disabling. And anyone who is thinking about taking a fluoroquinolone antibiotic should be aware of the side effects, the potential side effects, because these side effects don't disappear when you stop taking the drug. I was poisoned by Cipro 10 years ago, and I'm just, I'm at the point where I still have symptoms that I have to battle on a daily basis, but with an extremely limited diet, being very careful to drink only filtered water, getting a lot of rest, getting a little bit of sunshine, but not too much sunshine. Again, use of detoxification, basically eating a detoxifying diet and a sort of liver supporting, organ supporting diet on a regular basis. These are all things that have helped me to get to the point where I am today. When I was first poisoned by Cipro, I was bedridden. I was in constant pain. I had tendon dysfunction all throughout my body. I had terrible food sensitivities, digestive problems. Since then I've had debilitating Candida flare-ups. I have had cellulitis infections on my face, very dangerous, that I had to get antibiotics, unfortunately not a fluoroquinolone, to take care of. So I've had a whole host of health problems that continue to this day, but they continue to this day in a much milder form because of the different strategies that I've found. So I'm healing myself with these methods, and I'm sharing them in a video like this just for informational purposes so that other people can take it or leave it, right? If something is valuable to you and you want to try it for yourself, great. If not, great. I'm definitely not pushing one particular diet, one particular supplement, one particular way of doing things, because for me it has been an absolute trial and error experiment, right? And many errors, okay? So I've spent many hundreds of dollars on supplements that did not, I either couldn't take or they didn't really do anything. They didn't really fix me up, So yeah, it's been trial and error. And for the most part, the way that I heal myself is through food, water, exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, spiritual contemplation. I've written a compilation article on these things, the things that have helped me, and I'll link to it in the description. Now, this video is not, I'm not rehashing everything that has gone on with the fluoroquinolone poisoning, but just putting it out there as far as what this is, you know, what the background is here and why I'm making this video. Okay, so modified citrus pectin. Now, pectin comes from basically the rinds of fruit, mostly fruits. I think some, and some vegetables have pectin as well. And pectin is something, it kind of like binds to, you know, nasty things in your body and ushers them out, helps to remove them. Okay. In particular, modified citrus pectin is used to reduce heavy metals in the body, or to eliminate heavy metals in the body, and it eliminates it primarily through the urine. Okay, so you pee out heavy metals when you're taking modified citrus pectin, and this has been shown in clinical trials. So this is what goes on, but it's also just a product that kind of stimulates detoxification on all levels. Okay, so because of this, because it stimulates detoxification, if you were in the most acute phase of fluoroquinolone poisoning, you should be very cautious about trying to implement some of this. Okay, now it might help you, it might help your symptoms, but it might cause a massive nasty flare-up of symptoms. Okay, so I really would have been too scared to try this in the most acute phase of fluoroquinolone poisoning, because almost anything that I took, anytime I ate, I got a symptom flare. Anytime anytime I took any type of supplement, I got a symptoms flare. So, and really debilitating symptoms flares. So again, you have to be careful with what you're treating yourself with, even if it's a natural treatment, right? Because they will not tell you that something like modified citrus pectin can cause a symptoms flare, can cause debilitating symptoms of detoxification, but it can. Okay, anything can. Probiotics can, and I'll touch on that a little bit later on. Okay, so modified citrus pectin comes from, pectin itself comes from the rinds of fruits and some vegetables, and it's kind of a sticky, you know, they use it to make jam and jellies, right? It's kind of a sticky substance, and so you can imagine it kind of sticks to some of the garbage in your body and helps to usher it out. Now, modified citrus pectin is modified to be tinier particles so that your body can absorb it, and basically it can clean out like sort of your tissues and those kinds of things. Okay, so I started with, like I said, a very small dose of modified citrus pectin to begin with, just to test the waters. Now this pectin, this comes in a powder form, and the reason I like this AOR brand is that it doesn't have anything added to it. So there aren't any like flavors or like extra herbs or anything like thrown in there. It's just the modified citrus pectin, which is really nice. And it's like I said, it's a powder that you dissolve in a glass of water. There's a little teeny scoop. This is the size of the scoop. Sorry, that looks bigger than it actually is, because I'm just like, wow. It's just a tiny little scoop. It's 5 grams of the powder that you get in the scoop. And what they recommend is 3 scoops per day, so 15 grams per day, spread out with your 3 meals that you have, or with food each time, right? And for me, I found that was way too much to do. So I started off with, I actually tried the 3 scoops. I started off with 1 scoop on one day, and then I think I did 1 scoop the next day, and then I tried 3 scoops on the 3rd day. And I got really strong detoxification symptoms, and I lost my appetite. I started getting bloated. I started getting really bad fatigue. I was getting like angry. That usually happens to me when my liver's there's stuff kind of being forced through the old liver. It doesn't like what you're doing with it. So yeah, so then I stopped completely. I was like, okay, let's just let this do its thing and see what happens. So I stopped for, I think maybe like 10 days or maybe even 2 weeks. Then I tried another session And this time I did 1 scoop, 1 scoop, 2 scoops, 2 scoops. So I did 4 days, I believe. I think that's what I did anyway. But again, I didn't go to the 3 scoops level. Even the 2 scoops was kind of making me a little bit nervous. Again, I had detoxification symptoms like, bloating, lost my appetite, fatigue, emotional stuff coming up. So I realized, okay, now it's time to take a break. So I took another break, and I think that break was even longer, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And now I've just started my 3rd stint, and I'm finding that I'm not having as bad of detoxification symptoms. And I'm finding that I'm able to take 2 scoops over a longer period of time. So I'm on the 4th day right now. I started with 1 scoop. The past 2 days I took 2 scoops, and today I'm planning to take 2 scoops as well. I've already taken 1 scoop. So like I say, I'm not having as crazy of detoxification symptoms. Oh, one thing I will say that one of the detox symptoms that I have is extremely vivid dreams. That's another thing that happens. When you're to some people when you're detoxifying, and also a little bit feeling hot, like my body feeling hot, right? And I think that's also kind of a liver. The liver, I think, is kind of the seat of anger and heat in the body, right? That like traditional Chinese medicine would say that's the anger and heat is what's in the liver. So that's kind of what's being kicked up. So you can see that there's just this cleansing process going on. And of course I'm eating super clean as usual, as always. I mean, I can't eat a non-clean diet or I will be pretty well debilitated. My symptoms will severely flare up. So yes, so I take it with a glass of water, big glass of water, and with food. They recommend to use it with food, to take it with food so you don't absorb it too quickly. Other brands say not to take it with food. Now, the most popular brand I've found out there is called Pectin C. That's kind of a name brand. But it does have like added flavoring and some other added stuff. Plus it's from the US. This is Canadian, so I was able to get it in Canada. But yeah, Pectin C for Americans or for other countries might be easier to get than this AOR brand. But the AOR brand, I checked with the company and it's the same formula, the same type of substance that was used in the clinical trials. Okay. And the clinical trials were mostly run, I think, by the person who owns the patent on Pectin C. So you can't, take it with a grain of salt. But the heavy metal removal has been shown in multiple studies now through the urine. And one study in particular, they collected urine samples before they started the modified citrus pectin treatments as a baseline. And then they collected urine samples after 24 hours and after 6 days on 3 scoops a day for that period. Again, I can't take 3 scoops a day. So, which is fine. You do not have to take the recommended dose on any of these natural treatments. Okay. I'm just going to throw that out there. Okay. So after 24 hours, it said that they found 130% more arsenic was being secreted through the urine. On day 6, they took samples again, and 150% more cadmium and 560% more lead. 560% more lead was being secreted through the urine. Now, this study is like very partial because, okay, they didn't take urine samples on every day. So what was coming out on the day 2? What was coming out on day 3? It also isn't clear exactly what was tested for. Whether all these things were being tested on each of the days, but anyway, the long and the short of it is that modified citrus pectin has been shown to help with heavy metals removal. Okay. So one thing that you will have to do if you start taking this is drink lots of good quality water. Okay. Tons of good quality water. You're probably, well, I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but I definitely have seen increased urination, right? Which makes sense because your body is getting rid of some toxic stuff. So it wants to get rid of it as fast as possible. So, increased urination and increased thirst I found is going on with the modified citrus pectin. You also want to start a regime like this, even if you're just testing the waters, right? Even if you're just going to try it like for, 3 or 4 days, or even one day to see, try one scoop on one day. I would definitely suggest trying one scoop on the first day and just monitoring yourself afterwards, right? Because again, it can kick up some pretty severe detoxification symptoms. But you're going to want to try this when you're feeling pretty good and feeling pretty strong. Your body will only let go of things, release things, when it has kind of the energy and the conditions it needs to let go of things. So you want to do this when you're feeling pretty strong, feeling relatively energetic, when you're eating well, when you're exercising regularly, when you really feel, you feel like you're at your peak. Now, again, if you're in the acute stages of fluoroquinolone poisoning, well, frankly, you never feel good. I can't remember feeling good for probably like 4 or 5 years after fluoroquinolone poisoning. And to be quite frank, the only reason I felt good after that period was because I started using cannabis medicinally. And that's basically what gave me any sense of well-being whatsoever, right? Which I've since had to stop because cannabis, even using cannabis, started causing problems for me. But it was definitely a godsend to combat morbid and suicidal thinking that was caused by the drug, and just the general kind of chemical depression, and again, never feeling good, never feeling that your spirits were raised, right? So I digress. Back to modified citrus pectin. Yes, so do it when you're feeling pretty strong, or, just, like I say, just start off very slowly and monitor yourself. And also replenish the minerals in your body, because I didn't know this, but apparently your body will even use heavy metals. It'll try to use heavy metals kind of in place of minerals. So when you're getting rid of heavy metals, you have to replace the minerals. Now, I have a really hard time taking vitamins and minerals. It just makes me feel sick. Sometimes it actually makes me throw up. So what I do, I eat a really high quality diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, low glycemic fruit and vegetables. I eat as much organic as possible. I grow my own vegetables in a garden. So, and obviously not everyone has access to that. Not everyone has finances to eat organic. I only buy organic, what I can afford as far as that goes. Definitely organic meat or eggs though. That and if you eat dairy, dairy's probably not the best food to eat, but we'll leave it at that. But yeah, so definitely organic animal products, I would say, if you have to, and organic berries, because berries are really heavily, there's a few things that are really heavily sprayed, and you probably all know about them. The Dirty Dozen, you can look it up, the Dirty Dozen. And those things you should definitely eat organic. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yes, minerals. So yeah, just eat a really high quality diet. Eat sea salt, or what I eat is pink Himalayan salt. I frankly don't trust anything out of the sea at this point. So Fukushima followed, and for other reasons. So pink Himalayan salt I believe has kind of a boost of minerals in it. Magnesium oil, I spray some of that stuff on, just kind of try to help your body in whatever way you can. Now, the other exciting thing about modified citrus pectin is that it's good for people who have Candida issues, and I definitely have Candida issues. Now, Candida issues and heavy metals are kind of intricately linked as well, which I did know about, but basically Candida is a protective response in the body to heavy metals. It's protecting your body from the heavy metals. And what happens with Candida is it creates what's called a biofilm, and it's like a film around the fungus or the yeast, that it kind of protects itself. And the problem is that a lot of natural treatments can't get through the biofilm. to actually get to the root problem. And so the nice thing about modified citrus pectin is, number one, it gets to the heavy metals, which could be the underlying root to a candida flare or chronic candida issue. And it also penetrates the biofilm, or blocks the biofilm. I'm not sure what the exact mechanism is of the candida and other infections, other issues. Okay. And it has been shown to block, let me get this, galectin-3, which is a protein that our own bodies make when we have an infection or when we have something going on that we need to be protected from. It kind of isolates it. This galectin-3 is a protein that surrounds it and isolates it in the body so it can't do more damage. But then at the same time, it kind of isolates it in the body so that it can't be gotten rid of easily as well. So modified citrus pectin has been shown to block galectin-3 as well. So yay, it does all kinds of good things. Now, the thing that really, so I've been having candida problems due to the fluoroquinolone poisoning for probably about 7 years now. But in December of 2019, I had the beginning of the absolute worst candida flare I have ever had in my entire life. It was completely debilitating. It was disfiguring. It was miserable. And what I sourced it back to was the fact that I was working for about a week and a half invigilating exams at a local college here. And I was around about 200 smartphones, and I was right in the middle of about 200 smartphones because the students left their backpacks right where I was sitting. So I was being basically irradiated for a week and a half by these cell phones. And at the beginning, I didn't know what was causing it because I was just eating my regular low to moderate carb diet. Nothing that would have flared this candida up like this. Like, it was crazy. And when I say crazy flare, I had it all over both eyelids. One of my eyes was puffed out to the point that it looked like I had a black eye. I had it in my nose, on my upper lip, all over my chest, on my elbows, in my ears, all over the back of my scalp. Like, it was miserable. Oh, and I had 2 sores on the corners of my mouth that were from that as well. It was just absolutely terrible. So I furiously researched for about, for months, really, to try to figure out what was going on. And I finally found information saying that electromagnetic radiation exposure liberates heavy metals in the body. And then candida flare is, again, a protective response that the body does to try to protect from those liberated metals that are just circulating in your body, right? So the underlying way to get rid of that candida, again, because it was not related to like falling off the wagon with my diet or like having a big like carb binge or anything, nothing like that was going on. So that was the only thing that was different really in my entire life. So yeah, removing the heavy metals then became my priority number 1. And I am happy to report that that horrible flare gradually subsided. It took about 3 or 4 months for it to fully subside. And I still have little flares here and there. Whenever I, eat a little bit more carbs, whenever I drink a coffee, I've been trying to drink, I cut coffee out again completely, but I'm trying to drink 1 cup of coffee per week. So far that seems to be okay. So I'm happy there. But like sometimes a girl just wants to eat a whole bunch of popcorn, Sure, organic popcorn popped in, coconut oil and with sea salt, like no big deal. But once in a while you just give yourself something like that, and then you pay the price, which is the candida. But like I say, the heavy metals removal, the modified citrus pectin definitely is helping. After I take it, I just feel lighter, energetically lighter, and I have a little bit more energy as well afterwards. and I just feel a little bit better after taking it. The other thing I've been doing, like I said, is increasing foods that remove heavy metals. And there are a number of those that you can research. But the ones that I've really honed in on are chia seeds, Granny Smith apples, crab apples, and wild blueberries. And it has to be wild blueberries for some reason. I don't know why. So what I've been eating almost every morning is a hot chia seed cereal that I make with... So you basically put 2 tablespoons of chia seed and water together in a pot and soak the chia seeds until they absorb the water. And then you can add a little bit more water here and there. And then I mix in either Granny Smith apples or crab apples. Those are the 2 apples. Number one, those are the 2 apples that are the lowest glycemic. So they're good for someone that has to be on a fairly low carb diet. I can't do a completely low carb diet because my hormones go out of whack and I stop menstruating and I get exhausted. And so I have to be low moderate carb. I've actually done a video on the low carb, diet. And sorry, this video is so rambling. There's just so many details to this recovery process. And you know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what to share and what not to. So anyway, okay, yeah. So either Granny Smith apples or crab apples in the chia seed cereal, usually walnuts, sometimes throw pecans in there, a little bit of cinnamon, and some wild blueberries. And that is a powerhouse, low glycemic food, low glycemic cereal that is packed with heavy metals removers, okay? Because all those foods, chia seed, Granny Smith apples, crab apples, and wild blueberries are known to remove heavy metals. So when you're using food as a medicine, and then you're also using natural supplement of modified citrus pectin, I think this is a really nice, still fairly gentle chelation process, right? Of like removing the heavy metals from the body. Yes. Okay, so I think that's about all I have here. One thing that I found, which was really interesting as well, is a process called retracing. And I noticed that I think this was what was going on with me. So I think it was the second stint of modified citrus pectin I did. So again, I just sort of did like 3 or 4 day chunk, a 3 or 4 day stint, took a break, 3 or 4 day stint, took a break. And now I'm going to try to do between 5 and 7 days on the 2 scoops per day. But I'll just listen to my body. And as soon as my body starts like kicking up a fuss, I will not do that. I will not do that. So retracing is something that happens where when your body's stronger and it's able to heal itself better, it'll kind of go back to old injuries. And so old injuries will flare up because your body is trying to heal them. And so the second time that I took the modified citrus pectin, I started having really bad tendon issues all over my body. And so this is something that was chronic with this, with the fluoroquinolone poisoning. You know, for years I had every single day, I had tendon pain, tendon stiffness, tendon dysfunction. I had to be extremely careful with any type of physical activity that I did. And again, this went on for years and years and years. And so, you know, after I got over the initial few years of it, it became more of a flare and subside type thing. And that's what I still have going on, is a flare and subside, except the subside times have luckily gotten longer and the flares have gotten more manageable. But when I took this modified citrus pectin, I was like, wow, I haven't felt like this in years. Like my tendons feel really bad right now. And it almost felt like that the poison, you know, the fluorine that was deposited in my tissues was being pulled out of the tissues, and which I kind of hope was what was going on, which could possibly be one of the things that was being removed by the modified citrus pectin. But then I also found this phenomenon called retracing, again, where you'll have this weird flare, but it's like a healing flare, right? It's like, it's your body is finally at the point where it can actually address the damage, address what's going on. It has the building blocks. It has what it needs to heal. And so that kind of happens. So if you have those little flare elements, now it could be just, unfortunately, it could be just that you're having a bad reaction to the pectin, or you need to decrease your dose substantially, maybe just do half a scoop or something, or take a break from it altogether. But it could also be that your body is trying to heal itself, right? Okay, so I said I would touch on probiotics as well. And so probiotics are another thing that I've been wanting to take, because of course after antibiotics have devastated your digestive system, one of the ways to rebuild it is with the right probiotic. And so I have started taking a brand. I've tried probably, like, I don't know, 6 to 8 different kinds of probiotics. And sometimes they would help for a while, but oftentimes it would just be an intense symptoms flare. I just couldn't continue taking it. And so I decided, I found an article that I will actually link as well that was really helpful, that finally talked about the fact that probiotics can cause bad side effects in some people. Because again, probiotics are one of those things, and I find that this is true with natural health in general, that it's always like the benefits are being sung, the praises are being sung of these natural supplements. And usually what they say is, there are no side effects to this. There are no, well, if you have an underlying condition, and frankly, even if you don't have an underlying condition, yes, side effects can be a big part of it. And so with probiotics as well, I would start taking, even if I took like the, not the recommended dose, but start taking them maybe every other day, I would start having really bad symptoms, right? So I saw in this article that some people were only taking 1 probiotic pill per week or even per month, right? And I was like, okay, well, maybe I should try that. I'll just take 1 pill and see what happens. So I took 1 pill and I did start having symptoms. And the symptoms that I have, number 1, brain fog. It is just terrible. It's so bad that you can't focus. You can't remember words. It's terrible. Really bad fatigue. Blood sugar issues were happening. I started having Candida in the ear issues. For some reason, probiotics also often flare my Candida issues up. So I was like, okay, well, that wasn't terrible, but I'm definitely not going to take another one of these for a week. So then what I started doing again is just taking 1 per week, 1 pill on one day, and then leaving 7 days in between. And gradually what started happening was I was having less. Each pill that I took, I was having fewer symptoms. And now I've gotten to the point where I think I can take a probiotic about every 5 days and not have too many symptoms. So I think my body is kind of adjusting. So I just wanted to throw that out there as far as anyone with fluoroquinolone poisoning or anyone with any underlying condition. If you've tried any of these natural supplements before, consider, number 1, just consider that you need a little bit more healing time before you implement them, right? So don't just like write them off completely. Just, give yourself more time. But number 2, you might just need to start way slower and on a way lower dose than is recommended on the bottle. So even 1 probiotic pill per month, start off with, right? That if you're having really bad symptoms, that might be how slow you have to start off with. And start off with, again, not a huge amount of, okay, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called. CPU or something. It's like, the billions of probiotic organisms, right? So start off with a lower dose. Right now I'm on 10 billion. But I mean, some of them are totally crazy. Like they go up to like 75, 100 billion, probiotic cells. And those are obviously going to cause symptoms for people who are sensitive to them, right? Other people, can definitely take those. Now, the brand that I'm using is also a Canadian brand. Okay, Canada's putting out some pretty decent products here, guys. I don't know if other people can get them, but the probiotics I take are called Nova. The brand name's Nova, and they're vegan. Okay, and so that's really important because I have severe reactions to dairy. And I also have severe reactions to grains, and they don't have any grains in them as well. But what I didn't realize was that most probiotics have some type of dairy derivative in it. And I've noticed digestive enzymes, same thing. They often have a dairy derivative in it. So Nova put out this vegan line, which has 0 dairy in it. And of course, most of the other allergens, well, I think all of the other allergens, the common allergens, are not found in this as well. So I've found, again, that starting off really slowly, really low dose, and the vegan formula, which doesn't have any milk in it, has been pretty solid. Again, this is always a work in progress, right? So the weird thing about fluoroquinolone poisoning is that you'll start on something and you'll think, oh, this is really helping me. And then you'll kind of hit a wall, and all of a sudden, like, it'll either stop working or it'll start causing problems for you, right? And I have had that happen multiple times. So I would never say, you know, this is the rigid way to go, but these are some things that have helped me. And modified citrus pectin is kind of a new thing that I've been trying. And like I said, I've had really pleasant results from it, aside from the detoxification symptoms. But, you know, better out than in, I think. Better get that stuff out of you. I've also had really good results with much lower and slower dosing of probiotics and using the vegan formula. And like I said, you know, I just find that giving myself a little something every once in a while makes me feel human, you know? And so for the longest time, I was like on just absolute, you know, just the most stripped down diet possible, right? And I found that I almost was, you know, I'm starting to get like a little depressed about it. I was starting to feel like really trapped in my diet. And so what I decided was that I would just give myself like little treats here and there. And like I say, I've been trying to implement 1 cup of coffee per week. Sometimes I've been falling off the wagon and I've been having 2 cups of coffee per week. But so far, that's, you know, I think as long as you're solid on the rest of the diet is like, you know, locked down, and you've got your exercise going, and you've got, you know, you're functioning on all cylinders. I'm working with the hypothesis that an occasional coffee is going to be okay. Like I said, I also occasionally have popcorn that I pop on the stove in coconut oil and sea salt. And yes, it's organic popcorn. Now, okay, I've gotten lectured on this before. Popcorn and regular corn are not the same thing. And I researched this before I ate the popcorn. So, you know, yeah, traditional corn, a lot of it is contaminated with genetically modified organisms, genetically modified corn. I get that. It is true. Even organic corn, you know, there's some question about whether it would be contaminated, right? But popcorn is a different animal, different breed. And unless they're lying to us, there is no genetically modified popcorn out there. Okay. So the organic popcorn is not getting cross-contaminated with the other popcorn. So yeah. So anyway, sorry that I thought this was going to be like a really quick video, and here it is like over half an hour in. So my apologies. I obviously am incapable of making a very quick video, but I haven't made a video for a while. So I just wanted to update and say that, you know, I've been trying these new things, and just put them on, you know, put them in the mental list, like put them on the roster of things to potentially try. And maybe not right now, maybe not in your most acute stage, but some, you know, it's something later on. I would say we're probably all chock full of heavy metals at this point from multiple sources. So removing heavy metals is a good thing. Now, I'm not a believer that you should stay on these natural supplements forever. I'm really not. So I don't think that you should just like hit the modified citrus pectin and that's just like what you do every single day of your life for the rest of your life. Maybe that works for some people, but I think these really are treatments that you're treating a condition or you're treating symptoms with. And so in the same way that, you're not going to be taking medicine, like, the goal is not to have to take medicine every day of your life, right? The goal is to take medicine until you're better, until you're feeling better, until that condition or that situation has been dealt with, right? And so that's kind of the way that I look at any natural treatment. Oh, one other thing, sorry. While you're detoxifying, one other nice thing that you can do for your body is milk thistle, because milk thistle helps the liver. And so, like I say, the heavy metals are coming out through the urine, so they say, but there's also stuff coming through the liver and other excretory functions, let's say. So milk thistle is something when you're detoxifying your body, when you're doing an actual detox or taking something like modified citrus pectin that stimulates detoxification. Milk thistle is something that you can do that's protective of your liver, that will just kind of give it some support as it's doing like the heavy lifting, the heavy work of cleaning you out. So anyway, I just want to tell you that if you're struggling with fluoroquinolone poisoning, and I know there are millions of people out there who are, unfortunately, these devil drugs have been prescribed for minor infections for 30 years. I mean, it's a criminal offense. It's criminal what's been done. But I just want you to know that I had a very, very bad reaction. I didn't know if I was ever going to be functional again. I didn't know if I was ever going to want to even live my life again, to be honest. But I didn't want to give the bastards the satisfaction of just curling up in a ball and, accepting my fate as a poisoned, victim. I wanted to be a fluoroquinolone survivor, and I want everyone to be a fluoroquinolone survivor. I want everyone to show these bastards that they can't do this to us. And we are so ingenious. We are so amazing. We are so smart. We are such strong fighters. We kick so much ass that we are not going to accept this. We are not going to accept this fate, and we are going to keep fighting for our health. Okay? And that's what I want you to do, is even when you feel like you are in the deepest, darkest hole, and I have been right there for years, okay? For years, I had to spend, at the beginning, I had to spend all day, every day in bed, pretty close. And for years, I spent a period of each day in bed. I haven't had to do that for a few years now, So the thing is that if you keep fighting, if you keep trying, I know it seems impossible. It seemed impossible to me too. I couldn't believe, even up until December, with this horrific Candida flare, I was like, what next? Like, seriously, is this not enough, But just know that we're working our way out of this stuff together, okay? We're compiling the self-healing information that we need. We're compiling the wisdom, the experience, and the products that we need to work our way out of this stuff, okay? And so, just know that even 10 years down the road, you can experience, dramatic improvement. Now, it's a flare and subside, right? So I still go through flares where things are not so great, where I'm having, debilitating symptoms again, and I'm having pain, and it's affecting my well-being, it's affecting my ability to function in my life, etc. But I also have many more days where I'm feeling pretty darn good, and where I'm feeling excellent in comparison to how I used to be and how I used to feel, right? So just know that my heart is with everyone who is experiencing this, and I really, really, really hope and pray that the information about these terribly dangerous drugs is trickling down to the medical establishment, is trickling down to pharmacists, is trickling down to people who have been using this drug regularly without knowing what could possibly be wrong with it. Every little bit matters, and you matter, and your recovery process matters. And, you know, you standing up to this, you know, criminal pharmaceuticals cartel, it matters. Okay. So yes. Anyway, again, extremely long video. I'm sorry. But I hope somebody is, you know, somebody's interested to learn about modified citrus pectin. And until next time, I will do another update when I'm a little bit further along in this detox process.